show, we would call it, about the reptilians. And in that show, as you may recall, I was sort of the catalyst for the investigation into the reptilian conspiracy. And one of the most famous conspiracy theorists on that subject is Дэвид Айк. So joining me now is David. David, thanks for coming.
Pleasure, Sean.
We're all working towards the same fight, which is there is a global power structure that we believe exists. And at the end of the day, whether or not it is of a human or alien extraterrestrial origin, it's a very real conspiracy. And so I think we have to keep our minds open in this regard, and at least hear both sides, in all arguments. So towards that end, I wanted to start out just by talking with you and getting a better sense, of your history, because, to come out and to become the most notorious advocate of the reptilian conspiracy, obviously it indicates a lot of insights on your part. I wanted to know where this began in your journey, your awakening to a higher dimension of reality.
Well, I think, Sean, that people talk about the alternative media, but it's a vast spectrum. It's not one thing. And there's one end of the alternative media that is almost imperceptible from the mainstream media. And it goes right across the spectrum to a point where you find people like me who are questioning every aspect of what we've been told to believe in. And for me, if you don't explore those deeper levels beyond what mainstream society finds acceptable or believable at first hearing, then you're never ever going to get to the cause of what we're exposing. You will only ever be looking at the symptom. Funnily enough, that's what mainstream medicine does. Mainstream medicine sees a symptom and it focuses in on the symptom and it tries to relieve the symptom. But because it doesn't go for the cause, the symptom will return and the whole thing motors on and on and on and on. And in a very similar way, if we do not start breaking through the alternative media's limitations of where it will go, then we're not going to get to the cause of this global conspiracy. Because, I find it quite, amusing, head shaking, to see people in the alternative media who will complain when the mainstream dismisses them by reflex action as being a nutter or someone who's kind of very strange and shouldn't be listened to. And why do the mainstream media do that? They do that by reflex action because their perception of reality is so narrow and so concrete-like that going any further, the idea that there is a network conspiring to bring about a particular end of human enslavement, that to them is ridiculous because their perception will not expand to encompass that possibility. It's interesting that for me, one of the greatest forms of human control is the suppression of the sense of the possible. Because once you have a situation where you have persuaded people that only this is possible, then anything that you're doing outside of that sense of the possible will be rejected by reflex action. They can't be doing that. It's not possible. So hijacking the sense of the possible is very, very important, indeed vital to this whole global game.